Amanda Holden, Parental Narcissism. As you know from my many videos covering a vast range of topics, narcissists appear in all walks of life. The most common, of course, appertains to the romantic entanglement, where the narcissist has drawn somebody in under the auspices of loving that individual, of having an affair with that individual, invariably resulting in a ruinous outcome for the victim. In some instances, quite possibly pushing that individual to engage in very harmful behaviours to themselves, taking their own life, for instance. That individual may find themselves on the end of physical beatings, rape, psychological torture, emotional distress, the appropriation of their assets, smearing so they lose their job, lose relationships, even be alienated from their children. There are, of course, familial ensnarements, those where there is an adult child of a narcissist that has endured years of being manipulated and controlled by that parental narcissist. There are ensnarements, of course, at work. There are ensnarements, of course, in the social environment, neighbours even also. Whilst a lot of my work does focus on the romantic ensnarement, because that is the one that gains the greatest prominence, the familial one is one that can be just as damaging as that of a romantic relationship. And of course I have material about that. But I'd also endeavour to provide you with further information showing the dynamic of a narcissist engaging with their child, so you can see the way that the narcissist behaves, how they are in action, so to speak, and also to consider the potential impact upon the child. I've mentioned her previously in Celeb Seeking Attention, that the British personality Amanda Holden, who essentially has made a career out of always appearing in the press, showing off her body, showing off where she is on holiday, talking about her children, talking about her partner, her husband, I think, and repeatedly appears despite not really having any ostensible talent. That she once married Les Dennis, who was pretty successful at the time, before then having an affair and cheating on him with Neil Morrissey. She has then since managed to get certain gigs as a panellist on things such as Britain's Got Talent, although one really wonders how she is in a position to assess that. A mainstay of publicist pieces getting into newspapers, I explain how just recently, at her age, she had decided that it would be appropriate for her to appear in a national newspaper stark naked atop a huge birthday cake. Seeking much attention? Absolutely. And the behaviours that are commensurate, along with many others that she has exhibited previously, of that as a narcissist. A piece in the Mirror also demonstrates the interaction that she has with one of her children, her 16-year-old daughter, Lexi. Now, Amanda Holden has no hesitation in repeatedly triangulating viewers and readers with her child in terms of showing her off in a positive light, but in a way that doesn't necessarily show any emotional empathy or consideration for how her daughter feels about all of this. The article that appears in the Mirror, written by Zara Woodcock, tells us Amanda Holden confiscates 16-year-old daughter's skimpy clothes and wears them herself. Amanda Holden, 51, wasn't too pleased when her daughter Lexi tried to wear a skimpy outfit to Reading Festival. Amanda Holden has revealed she confiscates her daughter Lexi's skimpy clothes and wears them herself. This is not information that we need to know, but it's being put out there anyway. Moreover, it doesn't show any concern for how Lexi might feel about her mother describing what goes on in their household, which exhibits an absence of emotional empathy, a lack of boundary recognition, a sense of entitlement, and essentially seeing Lexi as an extension of herself. The 51-year-old is known for her risque and bold outfits, showmanship, and even previously received record number complaints about some of her more daring ensembles. That all, of course, would be challenge fuel. However, the mum remains strict with fashion when it comes to her teenage daughter, who recently tried to wear a bikini top to Reading Festival. The Britain's Got Talent judge explained, there's this sequined, I wouldn't even call it a bikini top. My daughter's 16. I went, no, you're not wearing that to Reading Festival, but Mummy can have it. So Mummy's got it, and waiting for a moment to wear it. This isn't, of course, about any moral guardianship for her daughter, although it's dressed up as such. If it were, she would just say to her, you're not wearing it, and that would be the end of the matter. It wouldn't find itself in the Daily Mirror, and we certainly wouldn't be told about the fact that she decided that she's going to wear it for herself. What this really is Amanda Holden saying, look at me, I'm 51, but I can still wear clothes that are worn by a 16-year-old. Aren't I gorgeous and beautiful? That's what it's about. An assertion of control by somatic behaviours. It shows no emotional empathy for her daughter in terms of talking about her in such terms. It shows triangulation of her daughter with the readers of this article. It demonstrates that she has no boundary recognition, as she believes that it is appropriate for her to behave in this fashion, not taking into account how it impacts upon her daughter. The fact is, it also exhibits fake empathy, that she's trying to demonstrate that she's got a concern for what her daughter wears, but then basically any concern we know, because a narcissist is engaging in this behaviour, is completely manufactured as part of the facade. She goes on to state, it just about covers the bits up top that you would expect it to cover, but it was definitely not for my daughter. She added to The Sun that her daughter would get her top back when she turns 18. It comes after the Heart Radio presenter recently voiced her worries that Lexi will want to go on Love Island when she's older. Lexi became obsessed with this year's series, which saw Ekin-Su Kulsakoglu and David Sanclementi win. Amanda said she banned her eldest from ever participating in the ITV dating series. Again, makes it look like she cares, but it's not. It's an assertion of control over a non-intimate secondary source daughter. Also shows hypocrisy, because in a sense, her daughter wants to go on a reality television show. What has her mother made a career out of? Appearing on reality television shows. She banned her, admitting Lexi might have got ideas to be a future islander after seeing how Michael Owen's 19-year-old daughter Gemma and now Ronan Keating's son Jack, 23, form part of the lineup. She said on her Heart Radio breakfast, so this is becoming a bit of an obsession with my teenage daughter at home now. Again, lack of boundary recognition, sense of entitlement to air her daughter's private life over the airwaves, who's never taken one scrap of interest in Love Island and now is all over it. Which worries me slightly, bearing in mind that Michael Owen's daughter is on it, and I'm like, you ain't ever going on it, Alexa. Jamie Theakston replied, oh, imagine that. But anyways, she's loving watching it. I can imagine it, and I'm not, Amanda said. To which Jamie teased, oh, please, it would be perfect for this show. Amanda hit back, no, it wouldn't. Mama said, no, she loves me too much. She won't do it. Of course, Amanda Holden doesn't see anything wrong in these behaviours. She thinks it's appropriate to talk about all of this over the airwaves, that it's just something that she's doing, and it's all lorks and lummy and a bit of fun. But in effect, this is a 16-year-old girl, who evidently is very young, who is having her private life exposed by her mother in a newspaper and over the airwaves. Furthermore, it's a blatant assertion of control by Amanda Holden to basically say, look at me, aren't I gorgeous? Because each and every appearance in the newspapers is all about her showing off her body in a risque outfit, as the article has explained, and as I explained in an earlier piece in Celebs Looking for Attention, her going on about her being supposedly bloated because she ate some mac and cheese and was wearing a green dress. Here, her daughter will have been subjected to these repeated behaviours of her mother exhibiting that she's beautiful and wonderful. Quite how that's impacted on her daughter, we don't know yet. It might be that she's creating another narcissist. After all, the genetic predisposition could be passed on, and there might be a lack of control environment where young Lexi isn't able to make decisions for herself and is always told how things should be. But there's no guarantee that that's the case, and I don't have any evidence to support what Lexi might be, and therefore it is only a possibility as to what might happen. We don't know how she feels about this, as the article doesn't tell us about how she feels about her mother flaunting all of this. Maybe she welcomes it. Maybe she enjoys it. Maybe she hates it. It isn't reported on. But what is clear, that this is an example of one particular type of parental narcissist who puts it all out there, not least in respect of her own behaviour, but also about anything within her family, which otherwise ought to be private. Amanda Holden doesn't see any problem in doing this. She thinks that it's fine. She may even say that it's with her daughter's blessing. Perhaps it is. But is a 16-year-old girl in a position to make her own mind up about these things? And in the past, where she has been routinely showed off by her mother. Her mother, of course, believes that she's proud of her daughter, but there's more to it than that. She shows an absence of boundary recognition in thrusting her daughter into the limelight, whether she wants it or not, whether she could be said to be competent to make a decision or not about that. The fact that she regularly presents herself in this way without any due regard for the other members of her family as to whether they actually like the fact that they're being portrayed in this way demonstrates a sense of entitlement and an absence of emotional empathy. There are those parental narcissists that treat their children as mini versions of themselves in terms of, I know what's best for you, you will go and do this, basically causing them to be little mirrors, that they are there thrust into the limelight, shown off, their bodies paraded around in the way that pleases mum, without any due regard for how that might impact upon them. The oversharing of information, which the child may find horrendously embarrassing. The narcissist, of course, doesn't think how that might impact upon the child when they go to school. So, for instance, schoolmates may turn and say, "Blimey, I saw your mum's outfit the other night, tits were almost out. Goodness me, what do you think about that?" And of course, these revealing outfits and behaviours, there is no thought as to how that might impact upon the child with regard to who else sees it and comments about it. This is one particular style of parental narcissist, one that determines this is how you should behave, whilst at the same time I'm putting everything out there without due regard for you. A sense of entitlement, a lack of emotional empathy, a lack of accountability, poor boundary recognition, and triangulation of a child. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.